clothing. And you wouldn't expect that, but it has every thing to do with the different regions and the food that's harvested in those regions and how those colors that people become attached to and associated to um, play a big role in that. Um, on top of that, money plays a big role too, in terms of today in the present, and I'm going to tie this up with the present. Over recent years, Western, outfits, have taken the fashion market by storm, and countries and states still make it a point to try and stay connected with their traditional dress, and they're trying to adapt to new Western culture with their own cultural outfit that's traditional, yet incorporating new aspects of it so that it's catchy for the younger generation. Um, for example, some people are even required to wear in some parts of the world. They're required to wear traditional outfits in public places. Um, but obviously, fashion is constantly changing, and many times, sometimes the ugliest of trends can get popular in a certain region. Shoulder pads for women got popular in the 1940s, and they came back in the 1980s. And then, of course, culture in a specific region changes with time, and fashion trends also get strongly, influenced with the changing culture in that particular area. Um, Women in India used to compulsorily wear a sari after marriage, and this is because, they would stay home while their husbands earned for the family. And as women have started contributing, to their family income, no longer restrict themselves to wearing a sari. So it's almost a symbol of freedom that they can move on from that, which is powerful, and it's a good step forward in society. People generally pick up fashion trends from the media. They try to imitate their favorite actors, actresses, or even models in terms of dressing and style. Otherwise, they would only really pay attention to what their friends are doing. They would notice what their friends are wearing and try to adapt, that style into their own lives as well. And this is how, a certain trend can get popular in a region, because they can't really wear anything completely outcast, even if it looks good, and anything that, the prevailing culture accepts is normally enough to make an impact. And that normally can become, the fashion in that region. Thus, because of all that, without a doubt, culture has a huge role to play in, deciding the fashion of a particular region. Fashion trends in a society are just a mirror, really, to its culture. And, as the culture changes, fashion changes. Um, and, it can also be said that, the fashion can impact the culture of a region to a certain extent. For example, certain cultures that have traditionally been very conservative towards fashion have been impacted by modern day fashion, and they're actually becoming more progressive, which is good because it's actually led to more advancement for gender equality in many parts of the world. Um, the same applies to the other way around, right? Different as the culture can adapt. For example, if you look at American culture, as more and more immigrants have come into the country and have shared their cultures, so that we now have like a melting pot of many diverse cultures, um, fashion is, as a result, changed. It's not as straightforward. It takes parts from here, parts from this culture, parts from that culture, and it forms a beautiful, diverse culture that incorporates parts from everywhere. Um, so without a doubt, culture and fashion tie together really strongly. But yeah, that's about it for the podcast today. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this conversation intrigued you and it has led you to formulate your own questions, your own thoughts. I strongly recommend you take a look at some of the videos that are available, and also you can take a look at some images of how culture has caused, and you can see, with the clothes and the impact of culture on clothing because it is really interesting, especially with Chinese culture. That was one video I saw that was really incredible when I was doing research for this. But um, I strongly, urge you to take a look at some of that stuff. Um, but yeah, I think cultures, and in terms of clothing, it can be definitely an identifying aspect. Um, and that makes it very interesting. It can also make it weird, in a sense, but I think it really should be celebrated, because there's a lot more positives from it, in my opinion. But yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. This is episode 24. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about something different yet similar. I think it's going to be interesting. We're going to keep it a surprise. But goodbye. Thank you.